Hello, I am Channa Bankapur. I am a trainer at GoMaster.in. So today's problem in September LeetCoding challenge is out. So the problem is it's called the largest number. So we have a bunch of numbers here, an array of numbers which are essentially integers, and we would like to concatenate them in any order we want so that we want to maximize the resulting value. So resulting number is also an integer, but just that it could be much longer. We are going to use say string as an output type, but you should look at it like an integer here. So there are say some examples here. I think these are nice examples, simple and nice. The first example has say 10 and 2 here. So we can actually, concatenate in two different ways. One is 102 and then another one is 210. So it turns out 210 is greater, so that's why we should be concatenating in this order. Even though 2 is less than 10, in kind of lexicographic order or in some kind of order, uh, 2 kind of has better preference than 10, right? So the reason is when you compare 2 with 1 as the first possible digit in a 3-digit number, starting with 2 is always better than starting with 1, right? So that way, suppose if I have even more numbers, like along with 10 2, suppose I have 78 or 9, something like this, maybe like 6 25. So if these are the 5 numbers, uh, just based on the first digit we can pretty much sort it and then concatenate them in that order. So the resulting number, which is largest, is going to be starting with 9 and then 7 8 and then 625 and 2 and then 10. So this happens to be the largest number we can get if you concatenate all of these integers, right? Um, so that's good if they're distinct. But what if there are two numbers which with a similar first digit, like in this example? We have three integers here, 3, 30, and 34. Um, Clearly, those three should appear before, or sorry, later than 9 and 5, because 9 is definitely greater, and then followed by 5 because that is greater than 3. And now we have place for these three integers, 3, 30, and 34. Now, if you want to see which one is greater among them, it looks like 34 is greater, but that's not how we look at it, right? Maybe the first digit is common, so we should look at the second digit, but there is no second digit of just 3. So should we give less preference for that or higher preference or something else? Now if you look at here, figure out what are the possible ways. So maybe you can just ignore 9 5 for now and just look at these three numbers, in how many ways we can rearrange them and then figure it out. So let me just write all possible ways. One is 3 30 34, or 3 34 30, and third one is going to be 30 3 34, 30 34 3, and the last two are going to be 34 3 30 and 34 33, right? So among these, this 34 3 30 happens to be the greatest, right? So looks like 34 is in some sense greater than all the other two, and 3 is greater than 30. So looks like 3 is greater than 30 or less and lesser than 34, right? So that's why there is some kind of ordering there. But if you just want to compare which one is greater, you can always take two numbers, say 3 and 34. If you concatenate them in two different ways, one is going to be 334 and another one is going to be 34 3. So clearly 34.3 is greater than 334. So it is it is kind of, this is good enough to say that this is the expected order. And among 3 and 30, clearly 330 is greater than 30 followed by 3, right? So that's one way to just look at it very easily. There are other ways to figure it out, but let's try to just use this logic. So when we want to kind of sort it, but for sorting we need to have some kind of total order, right? Some every pair of elements needs to be comparable. Which one is greater than or equal to something? So now for that, this could be our operator, or this could be our way of comparing. How do we compare two numbers? We figure out two ways of concatenating them, and then compare which one is greater. So the one which says greater basically tells us 34 is greater than 3 in this case, right? So let's use that idea. So now that we can just pretty much sort them in the order we want, and then once you sort them in that order, you just have to concatenate them, and then the resulting number is going to be the answer. So anyway, they're expecting in string format. So so all we need to just do is just concatenate them. So what we can do here is I've already coded. This time I'm coding in C sharp. So here is what we have. So we have an array of integers. I'm going to sort them, but I'm using some kind of comparer, my own custom comparer. So according to that, whatever we just discussed, we're going to sort. And after that, things are very simple. I'm just going to concatenate them one after the other. I'm using a string builder here and just appending every new number. And finally, that string builder I'm converting to string, so that I just this is the expected return type. But there is one final check we need to do. What if we have some kind of leading zeros? So leading zeros should be kind of trimmed off. If it were an integer or a long int or something like that, that would have been automatically taken care. But because it's a string, we need to get rid of them, right? So I'm going to trim all those leading zeros. But what if everything is zero, all the zeros? Then we should return a zero. So that's why when you trim all the zeros here, if it becomes a null or empty string, in this case actually empty string, we are going to return 0. If it doesn't become an empty string, then obviously all the leading zeros are trimmed off and we have some number greater than 0. So I'm going to return that, right? So this method is now very simple. Just that now we need to focus on the comparer, right? The comparer logic can be done in a more efficient way, but the simplest way is what I figured out right now. What I am doing here is I take these two integers, I need to compare them, which one is greater than the other in the way we want to basically concatenate them. I'm converting both of them to string, and then I'm basically concatenating in two different possible order, x being the first number or y being the first number, and compare those two. So this is a standard comparer. So I'm just comparing them because whichever is greater should appear before. So that's why I'm comparing y with x, not x with y. Right. So this should actually do the job, and then we're gonna get the result. So let me just see whether it works for yeah. So this works for the sample test case, and if I submit it, let's see whether it is accepting. It's gonna accept. Yes, it has accepted. So probably this is not the fastest algorithm, but this is something we can get it quickly. So today I'm all about getting a quick solution, right? So if you know any other better method, please let me know, or any other suggestions or comments are always most welcome, right? Okay, happy coding, folks. Bye.